I want you to indulge me for just a moment, and I want you to close your eyes and relax, sit in your chairs. And I want you to think about your earliest memories of an art museum. What are the things that come to your mind? Is it the building? Is it the architecture? Is it the people that you were with? Is it the objects? So I want you to keep that in the back of your mind as I talk with you today, because we'll come back to it. But for now, open your eyes. I first fell in love with art museums when I was a little girl, and my father would take my twin brother and I to the Nelson Atkins Museum of Art in Kansas City, Missouri on the family free days. And I remember going through the plaza, sitting in the back of the car, and he would drive us through and I would see the sculpture garden, and I would get so excited because I knew what was about to happen. And we would go, and as he would try to find a place to park, the excitement would well up in me. And I would see Rodin's The Thinker sitting outside of the museum with his hand underneath his chin, his body tense in concentration, his elbow on his knee. And we would walk by him and go underneath these beautiful columns and these front doors that just beckoned me in. And we must have been there quite a bit. We must have spent some time there, because I remember becoming very familiar and finding these really beautiful things that I connected with, including Jan van Huysum's floral still life. It's a memento mori called Vaz of Flowers. And I remember thinking that if I could stand there long enough, I could hear the buzzing of the bees, or I could touch the softness of the petals, or I might even be able, to smell the flowers themselves. I also remember the exquisite beauty of a Caravaggio painting of St. John the Baptist, and I remember his soft skin and his hair and his red cloak, and I remember the cake of dirt underneath his toenails. These are the things I remember, and I just think back and can't believe it, because I thought that they had put all of these things here just for me. I was a 6-year-old kid, and they had put them there just for me. And now I've spent 20 years working in art museums, creating opportunities for people to engage with one another and with art and with culture. And I've thought a lot about the reasons that people love to go to art museums. And I have also thought an awful lot about the reasons that people don't like to go. And I'm really interested to see what will happen with art museums in the 21st century. Now, I have a quiz for you. Museums in the United States are often compared to two other kinds of institutions. Can anybody guess what they are? Just shout it out. Banks? Okay, well, that makes sense. Anything else? Libraries. Okay, we have churches and libraries. And this makes a lot of sense. All three of them are repositories of culture. They all have very specific locations. They all have inspiration and knowledge that we're seeking. They represent the richness of our culture intellectually, spiritually, and creatively. But for an awful lot of people, they are places of boredom and stillness and quiet, right? We all know the rules. No talking, no touching, no food or drink, no photography. I could go on, but I won't. And these rules are there for a reason, right? They keep things safe. You gotta have things all ready to go. However, they also tend to alienate people. And that also makes sense. Even in the United States, art museums are the repositories of culture that are descended from kings and queens. They are housed in these intellectual spaces and in these incredible architectural buildings. They represent experiences that most of us can only dream of. They are representative of the power of community and of countries even. So it's no wonder to me that a lot of people find museums to be boring and elitist and perhaps even unnecessary. But I'm here to argue that art museums cannot exist without you in their current iteration. And I would say that because we live in a world where people are driven to seek new experiences, to find out new information, and to connect with one another, that you cannot exist without art museums. Now, the National Endowment for the Arts came out with a study a few years ago, and it basically said that Participation in the arts is down dramatically over the last 20 years. Whether it's ballets or orchestra concerts or exhibitions, people are not walking and getting their behinds in seats, and they're not walking through the galleries. And on one hand, that's really distressing, but on the other hand, we kind of know why. There are people who have said that even though they aren't going to these kinds of cultural things, they would otherwise like to go, and they gave 3 big reasons. And the first one is time. We don't have enough time to do the things that we need to do, much less the things that we want to do. And there are some people that even more, it's difficult for them to find a way to, the transportation to get there, or find a way to get there. A second thing, and if you have young kids, you know what I'm talking about. If you have kids under the age of 6, it is very difficult for you to find the time to get your kids, get them ready, put them in the car, schlep them over there, and then once you get there, there's nothing for them to do. And I know that as a parent, I am not going to go through that because I don't want to hear the whining once we get there, right? And the third reason that people are, who would otherwise want to engage with culture, the reason that they're not is because of social experiences and the lack thereof. And for me, this is the most poignant reason. They don't want to go to these things alone. Even in situations where money is a difficulty, that's something that can be overcome. But the social part of not being with anybody is not something people want to overcome. So, I'm not going to do that yet. Okay, so the National Endowment for the Arts also had another study that came out. So this is really paradoxical. They actually said that people are engaging with culture just as much as they did before. And I know you're probably sitting there thinking, Dana, you just told me that people aren't going to art museums, so what's up? And what's up is technology. People are interfacing with technology. They are downloading podcasts, they are watching videos of concerts, they are pulling up Google Art, they are looking at exhibitions online, and they are engaging with culture in a way that makes the most sense to them in terms of time, in terms of space, in terms of safety, and in terms of cost. Now, I think that the problem with this is that it doesn't give people the kind of experience that you can get if you go to a rich, social, interesting place. There is no replacement for actually going to a space and being with other people and having a relationship with them and the discussions that can happen. Art museums occupy a rich space in our culture, and there's a reason for that. You can go there and you can see things that you've never seen before. You can learn about times and places and other people that are otherwise unimaginable. Museums inspire us. They help us to think, and they help us to consider our place in the world, in a world that I would argue right now needs a lot of that. However, you have to go, you have to be there in order to experience this. The NEA study that I initially told you about actually said that the main reason people go to museums is because they want to spend time with friends and family and they want to learn something new. But you can't do it unless you go. Right now, you can look up anything you want online. There is no shortage of the information that you can find on artists and paintings and sculptures and exhibitions, but you can't experience it unless you are there physically in person. I want to make sure that everybody knows that I'm not a Luddite. I am just as addicted to my iPhone as everybody else in this room, and I know some of you in this room, so you know what I'm talking about. And I really think that there are some amazing things that museums are doing with technology right now in terms of educational engagement. It's working. However, I want you to go back to your original thought about being in a museum that I asked you to conjure earlier today. I am willing to bet that that thought does not include interfacing with a screen. Right now, art museums are doing a million different things to bring you in, whether it's K-12 tours or university experiences, whether it's musical performances or poetry readings. Sometimes we have little kids coming in with pre-K groups and reading groups and visits. And all of these require you. Your thoughts, your ideas, your understandings of the world, your friends and your family all belong in an art museum. And if a 6-year-old girl from Kansas can be so inspired to go into this grand museum, and the things that I see can inspire me to want to work in an art museum for the rest of my life, just think about the experiences that you can have in an art museum. Thank you.